Hey, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And today is December 21st, 2025. It's the winter solstice. And also the first top choice award on this channel. I've never done this before. So I've never really given an award and put thought into, some categories. So today's that day. Today's that day. Now is that time. We're gonna have it, and it's some pretty interesting picks. And I'm running a poll right now with the four top U.S. options here in the United States. So keep that in mind. It's here in the U.S. Um, Otherwise, there would have been another phone that's in there that I think should compete, but can't put it in there because it's not technically accessible in the U.S. They're beta testing their brand in the U.S. market. However, you can vote there. But if none of the four that's in the poll is any of the choices you would have gone with, there is a Q&A that's running also. And now obviously that one tells you that you can name what you think is the top choice phone. And there's a reason for this poll and Q&A. And you guys will find out a little bit towards the end before I announce top. Also, you can plug in what you also think is the top phone service provider in the US currently right now in 2025. So that could be anything from like the top postpaid brands. You can name those. You can name their prepaids if you want. You can name MVNOs that rely on their network if you want. The choice is yours. You can have some of the most unorthodox ones like Klarna Mobile or OnePay Mobile. There's a lot of MVNOs out there, so even those are welcome to be mentioned. But do go ahead and comment that as far as like which phone service provider you've been happy using and that you think is the top choice for 2025. And so that way, at the end we'll unveil it. But anyways, so wow, we've got some votes going on. Appreciate it. Okay, so we got one for the Samsung Galaxy S25 and we got one for the OnePlus 15. Some nice choices, some very nice choices. Very nice choices indeed. So first off, how are you guys doing? Glad to have you guys here. And so we got Michael here. Hello from Mississippi. Good morning to you. And from me, to Michael, hello from Arizona. Visible by Verizon, best money. Okay, nice. We got one up for Visible currently right now. That's awesome. Keep it coming. More people joining in. Please do answer the poll question or do the Q&A if none of those four are your top choice picks. So, I have a couple basically selected here just to kind of like talk about on my end. Something that, that I'm going to go over like what my choices are and then see what your guys' choices are. And then, we'll have the overall at the end of all of it. It's been a crazy 2025, man. We've seen some crazy stuff happening. One thing that's not going to be in my I guess you could say awards or whatever, top choice, whatever, is going to be foldable technology. Those are not making a play in this at all. So like the Samsung Trifold and the Galaxy Z Fold 7, like those devices are like in an own bracket of themselves, and there's not really a lot of competition to compete against them here in the US market. So there's not really a reason to, the Z Fold 7 is going to take top. Even though there's a Pixel 10 Pro Fold, the Z Fold 7 is going to take top no matter what on that. Samsung has foldable on lockdown, and Motorola is like its really only contender here in the US. So that's not really much. It's like, it's like picking against the words tomato. Just not something that I would say would get the general focus. And anyways, I mean, I know people can get, like Oppo and Vivo and all these other brands, but you'd have to import those into the US, and so it's not practical for most people. Therefore, it's just like, they're kind of left out. Foldable technology, we don't really need to know. But if you have to know, it's going to be the Galaxy Z Fold 7. And then, of course, new quirky foldable tech would go to the Samsung Trifold. pretty much. Samsung's got it. Anyways, I want to start off with a top budget device, and that comes in the form basically if let's see, well, this will kind of do that. All these pages have to reload. What's funny was I was about to start the live stream, and then I had a power glitch in my place, so the power like kind of shut off for a second, and it just shut down everything. I was so upset. So if the live stream actually ends abruptly, just know that I'll be back. Like even if it just shows like a blank screen and whatever, just know that I will be back. Because it seems like we're having a power issue today. It's so weird. Anyways, top budget pick is going to be the Moto G. Motorola has really held on to the budget department when it comes to, kind of budget to mid-range phones. And they've done a really good job of that. Now, of course, there's the Moto Edge, which is technically their flagship. And it's still, with Motorola, it's still kind of just hard to identify, like, exactly are they invested in flagship, phones, or are they just strictly sticking to, budget to mid-range tier. And so the Moto G kind of like encompasses what, like the coolest stuff you get in a budget phone. With the most notable, which doesn't really compete in today's market for choices, but even the excitement surrounding, the Moto G 2026. Just some really good changes, some really good features added in. And so the previous model, the 2025 model, doing really good. And again, budget, $199. I mean, that's actually pretty good. So the Moto G series pretty much takes it, in my opinion, for budget to mid-range option. Motorola's got that on lock and has gotten that award. So they are basically the champs of 2025 when it comes to budget devices. Swinging from the Moto G, the Moto G Power, the Moto G Stylus. They got those on lock. So give it up to Motorola. They got that there. Super, super nice. Michael says, US Mobile $25 plan and Pixel 5 daily driver for me. Noted that I have a Fold 4, a Pixel Fold 1, iPhone 16 Plus, which I'm giving to my daughter. Also, many other devices to mention. Yeah, there are a lot of devices to mention. But we're only gonna basically drop it down to some honorable picks. So with that, basically budget goes to Motorola. Now, budget flagship. That's a pretty interesting category. And again, this is in US market, okay? So to unveil that for you guys, my top pick, my top choice for a budget flagship goes to the Pixel 9a, which has to load. Oh my god, all these tabs have to load back up again. I so totally forgot to just tap on each tab to get it to load. It is the craziest thing ever. But the Pixel 9a, in my opinion, did very, very, very well when you think about it. So Apple really doesn't have a well, they do. They kind of do have a budget flagship. That would be like in the form of the iPhone 16e, which I'm saying it because it's an honorable mention. The iPhone 16e is a pretty solid phone, to some extent and to some degree. So it would have won. It would have won, in my opinion. It really would have. There's just certain things that that Apple pretty much like cut back on that to me just don't make sense in a cutback. Like if you're gonna cut back on stuff, there's certain things that you should take into consideration. I know some people are just like, well, one camera sensor is not like a big deal or anything like that, but it kind of is to people. Like I am crossing my own opinions with, I guess you can say with everybody else's. quick take on what do you think of the trifold and if they are really the future? Well, I'm not going to go as far as to saying that foldable technology is the future. It is an option. I feel like that candy bar style slab phones are going to be around for a long time. They're never going to be like obsolete and pushed out of the way, and that everyone's like totally focused on foldables. Foldables is just one of those unique style of smartphones that's brought in for people that kind of want a combo, right? If you think about it, like the Samsung Galaxy trifold is, to me, first of all, it's a WTF wow type of phone, right? Having double folds in it so you can extend it out, to a large tablet size, which kind of cuts down the need of buying a smartphone and then buying a tablet. Because that's usually what we have right now. When you look at iPhone, Apple, you have the iPhone and you have the iPad, right? So you have to buy two different products in order to, to be able to use either or for whatever you're going to be using them for. But just imagine, and Apple is working on a foldable phone. According to rumors, it's going to be like a passport style, so almost very similar to the first Pixel Fold in that type of design. But again, it is going to kind of combo up having an iPhone and having an iPad, so you don't have to buy two different products, especially with Apple products that's pretty expensive. You can just buy one and have the best of both worlds. And so, while it is in the future cards of tech where foldable will get better over time as far as the technology and how they're building it, I don't think it's gonna like superly replace candy bar smartphones. Those will still be around. Those will still be a thing. As far as like what do I think about the trifold, like I said, it's a WTF wow. That to me is like, it's a step in innovation. When it comes to tech innovation, I will always appreciate it, regardless if it's practicality. I will always appreciate it. So, when people are just like, hey, it's got these creases you can visibly see, it's like, yeah, that's what it has in its first generation. The first generation trifold has creases on both of the folding areas. But when you look at like, the Z Fold 7, when you look at a lot of foldable tech as it's advanced, with just one singular folding point in the phone, and they've minimized the visibility of those creases in the display. And so I believe that the second generation, third generation, we'll start to see those creases completely disappear. So like things like that don't really like bother me. I'm just looking at the innovation behind it and just like, where can this go? Because like one of the goals that is for smartphones in the future is to have a glass, like complete glass style looking phone. And I'm not talking about like what we have today with our smartphones. I'm talking about like see-through glass that when interacted with the display will eventually start to show images on the display of it, which will kind of still be a little transparent, but you know what I mean? Like it's just a see-through glass. That's like the craziest thing about it. Yeah. I didn't know that the Pixel 11 will be out in either August or September. Yeah, man, dude. I said it this year and last year. Google shifted when they released their phones. They're not releasing their phones in October anymore. Like, it's pretty much split up amongst the seasons. Like, winter into spring is Samsung's event to release their flagship. And then you have summer, which is now Pixel. And then you have fall to winter, which is Apple. So Apple, now they're going by the seasons. So the summer belongs to the Pixels. So that's theirs. August is their release because the Pixel 10a should be releasing next month or month after. They've also shifted when the A series comes out. This is so that way they have their time to basically release their phones and people get a chance to experience them. When you think about it, if you have the Pixel and the iPhone releasing in back-to-back months in that way, one shadows the other one. It's just as simple as that, right? So to allow everybody a chance to really kind of take a look at them, you have Pixel releasing in summer, August. Everyone can look forward to that, and that leaves open for Apple to do like late September, early October release for the iPhones, and get the ball rolling on that and people looking at them. And that way, it's kind of like a fair race. So yeah, they will always be at that right now until Google changes that again if they decide to. I think they should. I actually think that they should kick off summer, right? I think that, end of June, beginning of July should be Pixel month. Even though August is like my birth month, I still say they should do it that way. Gives a little bit more gap between them and iPhone. Gives, a wide gap between them and Samsung. So Apple, Samsung will have their respective times. Google will have their respective times. To me, I don't know. To me, it works out like that. Yeah. So, anyways, going back, to the Pixel 9a, that is my top choice for budget flagship. I say budget flagship because the internals and everything. If people like to judge things based on paper, everything about the Pixel 9a screams Pixel 9. The only difference is that it doesn't have, the camera bar. The camera sensors sit flush. And the back of it is plastic rather than glass, right? The sides are aluminum. So yeah, I give it to that. You get basically like the full-on experience if you bought a Pixel 9 with the Pixel 9a. And even right now, the Pixel 9's on sale for $449. So the Pixel 9a is now down by $100, so it's $399 for it if you want to pick one up brand new. I'd still say, honestly, go with the Pixel 9. That's just me. But anyways, I digress from that. So yeah, my top choice pick for budget flagship goes to the Pixel 9a. As I'm giving these choices, go ahead and drop comments and let me know what you think it is. If you think it's a OnePlus 15R, please tell me and tell me why. I would love people to read your guys' comments into why you would go with whatever other device that you feel like it. Checking in on the poll right now, we got 9 votes in here. Pixel 10 only got 11%. iPhone 17 got 22%. Shout out to all those rocking iPhones. Nice. Love to see it. Galaxy S25 in the lead at 44%. And then 22% also for the OnePlus 15. So Pixel 10 dead last in this race. But that's good stuff. Keep it coming, guys. Keep it coming. Okay. Yeah, so my top choice for basically, a good trend changer. My top choice for a good trend changer. Blech, getting tongue-tied there. Pixel 10's treating me wonderful. Excellent. I have no issues at all. Other than that, I took it out of beta software. I'll tell you guys why at the end. A little bit after this part, after I get through my award spiel here. I'll tell you why I downgraded it back to the stock software and took it out of beta. But anyways, trendsetter award goes to iPhone 17. I have to give it to the iPhone 17 because of their decisions to just basically go right here, 256, as their base option. That, to me, forces the hand of other OEMs to kind of go that route, right? Cue in, Pixel. Take a hint here, Pixel. Take a hint. I mean, think about it like this, okay, from my perspective. The only separation between iPhone 17 getting Phone of the Year with MKB HD and the Pixel, one of the biggest plays between them was the storage capacity. I think people's perception of the Pixel 10 would be drastically different if, let's say, the Pixel 10 base Pixel 10 launched starting at 256 gigs of internal storage. You see, the thing about Pixels that I've noticed, it's a trend of theirs. They love to just kind of piss people off. They do. They really do. It's like, look at the Pixel 4 and 4 XL. That would have been Phone of the Year in 2019 when that phone came out. But the problem with that is that there were certain things that they did and the pricing didn't match. And so that's what killed the momentum for the Pixel 4 and 4 XL. And the same thing's happening here with the Pixel 10. What's killing the momentum is that there's not really a lot that that the casual consumers can latch onto. Like a casual consumer can go and say, yeah, Pixel 10 looks really, really good. And someone's going to come up, and be like, oh, my iPhone 17, same price as your Pixel 10, but I got 256 gigs of internal storage. And storage makes a big difference to a lot of people. The casual customers, the casual consumers, they know, obviously, because they're the ones that, if they don't have enough storage capacity, are having to pull out their debit or credit card and purchase additional storage through cloud. And some of them just don't want to do that. They just want to have everything on their phone. They don't trust the cloud. They don't trust SD cards. They want it just on their phone. So that way, if anything, they can recover it if they need to recover it. So the trend of 256, I give it to Apple. Apple is this year's trendsetter for 2025, pushing for 256, right? OnePlus coming out a little bit after, but even OnePlus, they kind of got the memo and did 256. So like they already knew the writing on the wall. Apple was just first to the finish line when it comes to that. They were first to the finish line, and so big shout out to Apple for setting the trend. Now Google just got to take a page out of their book. Plus, too, I mean, honestly, I like this style of the iPhone. I don't know if I ever told anybody that, but if all we had, as options was Samsung or Apple, I would go Apple. And I mean, as far as the aesthetics, I like this design. It's a clash combo between, the 11s on up, and it's like a hybrid of that and like the 10 and 10s, right? Stacked camera sensors with like a pill module outside, which kind of like, you look at that and you're like, it's definitive. That's an iPhone, right? You can see, you don't even have to look for the Apple logo. You can just see by the camera sensor. So I like this design, and like, the colorway options that they have for the 17, I think are pretty nice. If you're going to ask me what I would go for, I'd go for the sage color. I don't know what it is, but a fun fact, one of my friends told me the reason why I gravitate towards like greenish colors, like, sage and lemongrass and all these other colors that like have shades of green in it, is she's like, because of my astrology sign, apparently Leo, and a Leo stone is peridot, which is a green colored stone. I'm like, oh, okay. But I also like purple. So then what does that mean? Anyways. So trendsetter goes to the iPhone 17. My next choice, the powerhouse, like the absolute powerhouse. And what I mean by powerhouse is battery option. And that goes to the OnePlus 15. The OnePlus 15 to me just really kind of just like took it for battery life and power. Yes, I do recognize that, the Snapdragon processor in the OnePlus 15 is more powerful, when you compare it to the Tensor G5. I do know that some people just can't seem to just grasp that the Tensor G5 was not built to be just a powerhouse chip to completely, contend against the Snapdragon Elite. It's not. It's built for a reason, and it's a Google reason, so. And whether it can process, AI faster than Qualcomm or not, that's not the thing. But how does it do it, and how efficient does it do it? That's the thing. So, but when you want an all-out powerful device and all-out just good battery, OnePlus 15's pretty much got this. Downside scale of this to me is that I really wish OnePlus wasn't trying to bite Apple, or try to take over Apple's old design, right? Because you look at the iPhone 17, the 17 Pro series, and the iPhone Air, and you see that Apple's making a change for the aesthetics of its design. And OnePlus is just kind of like went in there and was like, oh yeah, you guys are not using this no more. I'll use it. I'll keep using it. I'll do it, When you look at the OnePlus 13, I really like that phone. I like its design and everything. You look at the OnePlus 12, the 11, the 10, and I'm like, yeah, those are definitive designs. Like, I'm the type of guy that likes tech that can stand out and be identified for what it is. I don't like to just have to always explain to somebody, like, if I was to rock this, I know someone would ask me what type of iPhone is that, and I have to explain to them, it's not an iPhone, it's a OnePlus. So yeah, it needs to be recognized. And this design, absolutely, they copped and stole from Apple. Everything, even to the action button, right? The reason why I like my OnePlus 9 is that switch, that mute switch, where you can switch between, audio, vibrate, and then, totally silent. And I like that. I like that option. And I know Apple's had that toggle switch. But yeah, that's just the only downside to me in OnePlus. It's just like, don't, stand on your own. OnePlus has the ability to stand on its own. It was known as a flagship killer. Like, shit, it was a popular phone way back. what was it, like 2015, 2016? People were just like always about OnePlus as the flagship killer. And of course, they've moved away from that moniker. That moniker, they really don't hold that title anymore as the flagship killer. However, I would say that they have a lot of notoriety to them. So just, yeah, make it your own and don't try to like adapt, copy from somebody else. So anyways, I said a lot of negative about the OnePlus 15, but I don't dislike the phone. What I will say is that if you want something that's got really good battery life, I mean, like really, really good battery life, and, has a decent, powerful chip, the OnePlus 15. Plus, it's always something new, right? Like, normally when you think about it, you consolidate everything down. It's always Samsung, Pixel, and Apple. If you want to, get a different flavor, something that, reinvigorates, your enthusiastic side of technology, then get a OnePlus 15. I mean, they do things a little bit differently, so yeah, it'll be like a palate cleanser. It'll be fun. Even though it looks like an iPhone, this is still a phone that I would rock. So anyways, yeah, let me get some of the chat here. Let's see. I have some devices that I'm going to get rid of. If you would like to use them to revisit for your channel, you can let me know, or maybe reach out. I will post a regular comment, so like not in the chat thread, but just in the regular comment. And or if I don't know if you're following me on other social platforms. Actually, you know what? Just to keep things discreet, because I use a chat service called Sessions Messages. I'll figure out. I'll put it. Actually, it's in the community feed. If you look at my community feed, you'll see a QR code for Sessions. Scan that. A cool thing about it is that it doesn't require a phone number to sign up. It doesn't require an email to sign up. And so you can DM me, and I'll chat with you. If you got stuff you're trying to get rid of, sure. I'll never say no to anyone getting rid of tech items that, could be revisited, reviewed and whatnot. So, yeah. For sure. Anyhow, let's see. I'm sure we live in a day where there is an app for everything, even clocking into work. Each app takes more space. Yeah. If they aren't allowing memory cards, then they should. Well, see, even when we had SD cards back then, you really weren't putting the app on the SD card. Like in the early days of Android, you had to root your phone to even do that. And even today with adaptable storage is what it's called. It doesn't move the app. It moves a lot of its data. So a lot of the metadata and everything's moved over to the SD card. But then you'll also notice that like some features break because a lot of that app data is not on the internal storage of the phone. And so then you would have to like move all that data back onto the on-device storage in order to get that function to work. I've seen that from time to time again. So, ultimately 256, that should be the base. All right, cool. If not, check back, because I know I didn't put it in the description, but you can always email me. Actually, I'll put my email address. Just check the description. I'll put my email address there. But anyways, powerhouse and battery life, I give it to the OnePlus 15. Now, oddly strange phone. My choice for the oddly strange phone, but also, a break-in artist, is what I like to call it. I'm going to give it to... Oh, this page didn't load. There it goes. Nothing Phone 3. I know. Some people like that dot matrix. Some people hate it, or the glyph interface, whatever they're calling it. Some people like it. Some people hate it. I totally get it. You know what? This is the way it's always been with smartphones. Not everybody is going to agree and love the same things. The Nothing Phone 3 pretty much grabs my attention on things. I am a fan of Nothing devices. Like if Nothing fully broke into the US, if it came into the US and, you can walk into a Best Buy and grab one, and, maybe Verizon's got them on sale in their stores and stuff like that. If that was the case, literally, I would so totally, be hooked on Nothing. Nothing and CMF are awesome. If you've never used one, if you have the opportunity to get one, to try it out, get one. You'll be pleasantly surprised. And I think one of the big things that is like a gravity puller that pulls me towards Nothing Tech is the fact that while they don't skimp out on the user interface, right? It's well designed, in my opinion. It's a well designed user interface. It looks nice, it looks good, but it's not in your face. It's so weird because it's balancing two different sides of the table. You got the side of the table that says, yeah, we want our stuff to look good. We want it, to be practical and easy to use, easy to navigate. You shouldn't be like scratching your head trying to figure out like how to do this on your phone, how to do that on your phone, or what's this, what's that, right? Like they try to make it very simple, very practical for people to use. And they give an all-out design to the user interface that's eye-catching. It is eye-catching, but it's not eye-catching for the wrong reasons. And I know that sounds so stupid to say, but Nothing OS is a not in-your-face operating system, which means that people have been known that are using Nothing devices to be able to stay off their smartphones and keep themselves in the real world a lot longer, right? When you have phones like the Galaxy devices with all their beautiful themes that you can get from the Galaxy App Store, and you can install these themes for the holidays or themes just for how you're feeling, whether you're feeling like being a Godzilla fan or a Gundam Wing fan. Like there's always themes in the Galaxy App Store for you, or you could just, build it with installing customized icon apps, get your own wallpaper, etc. Those are like in your face. So, when you do stuff like that, the geek inside of you, your tech enthusiast is just thriving on that. And so now it can easily be, like pushed into the doom scroll era. And so that's something that a lot of phones do. Even Pixel is guilty of this. Nothing has this subtle way with its OS. It's good to look at. People think it's quite nice and intriguing, but it's not an in-your-face type of thing, and it's definitely not hooking you for the doom scroll. You can get out of it, which is the intentions of Carl Pei is like to have a smartphone that's useful, that's helpful, that could be a tool to your everyday choices. But then is just like, yeah, you can get off of it. Let's see. My choices are Moto. I have the Moto Edge Plus 2023 since January, and it's been great. Okay, but that's a 2023 model. We're talking about phones released in 2025. So that would be a 2023 top choice, But yeah, I get what you're saying. You really like your Moto Edge. And yeah, the Moto Edge is pretty solid. Moto Edge didn't get pulled up into my picks, right? So that's me. But thank you for sharing that. So that's in there. Let me go back to the poll real quick. I want to see where it's currently sitting at. 45% for the Samsung Galaxy S25, 18% for Pixel 10, 18% for iPhone 17, 18% for OnePlus. Oh my God, Samsung Galaxy is just smashing it. Wow, that's crazy. Okay. But yeah, Nothing Phone 3's got a lot going for it, and the future of the Nothing Tech, as long as Carl Pei doesn't abandon us, I think that we got some really cool stuff to see. I also do want to tell people that like the stuff we're getting from Nothing Tech right now, I don't foresee that being the thing in the future. Maybe they might have something down the road that's kind of similar to it, but I do feel like at some point they're going to kind of like stray away from this overly flamboyant design, because the Nothing phones are like eye-catching, and yeah, they'll get some attention. So I do feel like that, if you want to be invested in having some sort of experience with Nothing Tech in its early infancy days, now would be the time to grab them. Like if you grab the Nothing Phone 3A, you grab, the Nothing Phone 3, whatever your choices may be, you grab one of these devices and then you can actually use it and experience it, not only just for the user interface and for, your day-to-day, tools and what you use, but also, for the fun stuff like, the glyph lights. Like I still have a Nothing Phone 1. still like using it, and the glyph lights is fun to play around with. Of course, you know, eventually I'm gonna have to like replace the battery in it because the battery will die pretty quickly. But yeah, that's a whole different subject. Okay. And then when it comes to changing up what a base model phone is offering, that top choice you guys already know. That's going to the Pixel 10. Now, while the Pixel 10 lacks in some of the things like storage capacity advancements, you know, didn't do that. I mean, yes, you know, people are a little bit frustrated because they use smaller sensors on the Pixel 10. And one thing I want to correct for people, because I see this quite a bit on social media. Everyone's like, oh, to fit a third camera, they shrunk the size of the other two sensors. Like, why did they do that? Why did they do that? Let me go on it and say, and you don't have to be working for Google to know this. This is pretty simple logic. You got the Pixel 10. Okay, well, let's compare it. And maybe this will make sense if I show the comparison. Maybe it'll make sense. Okay, let's just focus on the middle and the right. So the right is the Pixel 10, the middle is the Pixel 10 Pro. I want to get to the cameras, because then if you guys see it, how I'm gonna position this, it'll make more sense to you. I give the Pixel 10 basically the top choice for a smartphone that stepped up its base model. Okay, iPhone 17 would get that also because of the 256, but the 256 is a trend, because in reality people can still make 128 work. Now, adding a third sensor on a smartphone, I mean, yeah, you could deal with it with only two sensors, but there's a reason for the telephoto, and people like using the telephoto sensor, and that's getting those really close-up zoom shots. A little bit different than setting a trend. However, the fact that people are talking about that they had to make smaller camera sensors so they can fit a third, that is pretty stupid. And I know where that came from because I first heard it from one of those major tech publications. That's not why they did that. They did it, okay? So the Pixel 10 has a 4 megapixel camera sensor versus the 10 Pro having a 50 megapixel. Now, let me repeat that again so you guys are catching along. 48 megapixel, I probably said 4 megapixel. 48 megapixel camera sensor on the Pixel 10. 50 megapixel camera on the Pixel 10 Pro. Are you guys getting the distinction that I'm like kind of like emphasizing here? And spelling it out, 48, 13, 10.8 versus 50, 48, 48, right? Those are the three camera sensor specs. Okay. Main shooter, 48 versus 50. Ultra wide shooter, 13 versus 48. 10.8 telephoto versus 48 telephoto periscope lens. Aperture ratings are all different. The reason why is because they got to have a reason to have a Pro model. If they put a 50 megapixel camera sensor in the Pixel 10, if they put a 48 megapixel ultra wide in the base Pixel 10, and they put a 48 telephoto in the Pixel 10, then what's the point of the Pixel 10 Pro? Why would there be a phone that's $200 more? That's why. It's not about they needed to fit it. They could fit. I mean, look at the Pixel 10 Pro. Its dimensions are nearly identical to the Pixel 10. If they can fit a 50, 48, 48 in the Pixel 10 Pro, they can fit it in the Pixel 10. So no, it's not that they needed to make it fit, because the camera bar, the camera island, the camera sensor, whatever you want to call it, is pretty much the same size as the 10 Pro. They could make it fit easily. We're talking about hardware engineering. That's easy to do. Calibrating, you know, the dimensions and cutouts. That's easy to do. You can always alter that. They did it so that way there was a reason for the Pro model. That's it. That's the glorious answer behind the shade. They did it so they would have a reason to sell a Pro model versus the base model. So yeah, stepping up the base model, I give that award to the Pixel 10 just for doing that. Because that's, I'm hoping that iPhones will do it too. I mean, the iPhone 17 could have a 3-camera setup. It could have a telephoto lens and do exactly what Google's doing. And if Apple sees this, they may actually do it for the iPhone. Maybe the iPhone 18s, all of them have triple camera, but maybe Apple does the same thing. Maybe a smaller camera sensor on the base model 18 and much larger, more powerful sensors on the Pro models. You see what I'm saying? So like, Apple set the trend to have higher storage capacities, and Google's setting the trend to let's just keep it a 3-camera setup. Because if you think about it, the Pixel 10a is almost identical in design to the Pixel 9a, including the fact that it's only going to have 2 camera sensors. So that would be the one that would only have, the wide angle and the ultra wide angle, or wide angle and telephoto, whichever they choose to do. So yeah, and I think it's always gonna be ultra wide. Telephoto is a sought after, sensor that people want in their smartphones. And to think about it, in 2019 when the Pixel 4 XL came out and they took the stage, and while Apple went with ultra wide, Google's like, they went with telephoto because they know people want to get zoom shots, and everybody laughed at them. Now look how much telephoto is an importance in smartphone photography. Yes, Google was ahead of their time. They knew it. And so anyways, I digress from that. Yeah, giving us 3 camera sensors to play around with for our smartphone photography, because everybody's a social media influencer nowadays. Let's just cut this shit. Everyone's a social media influencer. You got an Instagram, you take photos, people are watching. So you can really go out there and get some really good photos with the Pixel 10. I know, because I do it a lot. I do it all the time, and I think those photos are fantastic. Yes, there are other smartphones out there that are doing better now, like Vivo is doing a lot better than Pixel when it comes to the photography department. But I still like the type of photos that Google basically produces with AI, which is another thing. In the intelligence top choice, it goes to the Pixel 10. It just does. I'm sorry. Galaxy AI is a thing, and they're doing pretty good as far as, them wanting to step away from relying on Gemini, and have purchased several different companies that develop AI, and they're working with them to create their own Galaxy AI, like specifically on its own standalone, and that's great. That's a good idea. Go Samsung for that. Gemini is superly intelligent, and I love using Gemini Pro. It's amazing, and Apple still has a ways to go. And you know what? Like, I'm not going to kick a dead horse with a steel toe. We already know that Apple has reached out to Google and is going to be using Gemini alongside Siri to make Siri more intelligent. So, but yeah, when it comes to smartphone intelligence, that award goes to the Pixel 10 as well. Gemini is just hands down like one of the top on-device smartphone AI that you can get. Gemini Nano, so cool. I mean, there's so many things you can do with it. Everything from asking it basic questions, getting basic answers, using your camera and pointing at something and then asking it, how do I fix this? Or, what is this part called so I can get it replaced? And it's smart enough to figure that out. You could try to annoy Gemini and point your Gemini Live camera at a car and just be like, oh, that's a beautiful buffalo. And not only will it just correct you with what it is, but to do it in a flair of having its own personality. You can really kind of like tell when Gemini's voice is a little bit irritated because it knows you're purposely trolling her with, that's a buffalo. And you point at a tree and you say, that's a skyscraper. And, it makes the interaction between you and your device a little bit more natural, which is what Google is trying to achieve. They're trying to achieve it where people are comfortable. Because if you have AI assistant on your phone that sounds superly robotic, you may not go to it for a lot of things. Whereas if you've built this weird relations with Gemini that you're comfortable talking to it like you're comfortable talking to your best friend, well, then you can be walking down the street and just start talking to Gemini to get information about where you're at and what are some cool things to look at, what are some cool places to eat. And it all sounds like a natural flowing conversation. So that's the whole point of them trying to make AI more human than ever. And Gemini has literally come close to that, and they're still coming close to it. They're still breaking down barriers, and they're still creating advancements in AI. Gemini has that unlocked. So most intelligent smartphone of 2025, Pixel 10. It has it. And if you haven't played around with Gemini Pro, I would suggest to go ahead and do it. See what you can come up with. Use things like Nano Banana, which does really good. The thumbnail to this live stream was built by Nano Banana. And all I did was just ask Gemini to build me a 16:9 aspect ratio YouTube thumbnail, include silhouettes of smartphones on a award podium on center stage, with the crown on the one in the middle at the highest point. And that's what it created for me, that thumbnail. You know what I mean? It cuts down a lot of time that I have to sit and work on a thumbnail or whatever, whatnot. I can spend most of my focus and dedication to video editing and creating the video, which is amazing. Thank you, Gemini, because it's the reason I'm able to, like, you know, pump out more videos and stuff like that. Gemini's been really helpful. So most intelligent smartphone goes to that. Let's get back to the poll here and let's see. And you know what? Just for shits and giggles, I'm going to draw it here on the screen. Okay, so we got 13 votes right now. We got 23% to Pixel 10, 15% to iPhone 17, 46% to Galaxy S25, and 15% to OnePlus 15. Wow, that is some good stats going. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. I'm excited. I'm excited, you know, when I end this poll to see exactly where everything sits at. So yeah. Okay. I'll announce my top choice smartphone of the entire 2025 at the end of this live stream. So what I want to do is that I want to kind of just focus on two top MVNOs, and like I said, you guys can comment. I want to know what you guys are choosing for your MVNO, prepaid, you know, postpaid, whatever. Plug it in the comment in the chat now. Let me know which one you find is to be the top. Pro XL bigger but downgrade? What do you mean Pro XL bigger but downgrade? The Pro XL has pretty much the same thing as the regular 10 Pro. I mean, it's a taller phone. Not by much, but it is a taller phone. But yeah, it pretty much has like the same thing. Oh, that's the 10 Pro Fold right here. Oh, that's not the XL. The XL's right here. 10 Pro Fold has stuff very similar, but it's actually, you know, yeah, more 6.8-inch display. Yeah, everything's a little bit more beefed up on the Pro XL, and it has to be because it's the larger Pro model. Yeah, the one thing that you won't find with the Pro XL model of the Pixel 10 is you won't find a 128 gig option at all. It starts at 256, 512, 1 terabyte. So if you want a smaller Pro model with 128 gigs of storage, you can still get it in the 10 Pro. No, it's not a downgrade. The Pixel 10, a lot of people feel like it's a downgrade from the Pixel 9 when it comes to the cameras, because the Pixel 9 had the 50 megapixel shooter, and then I believe it's a 48 megapixel. Well, let's look at it right now. Let's go to the Pixel 9. Boom. There we go. Yeah, 50 megapixel and 48 megapixel ultra wide. No telephoto. But yeah, that's why people say it's a downgrade. It's because the camera sensors are talking about. To me, I'm just like, yeah, you know. Anyways, yeah, back to carriers. Plug it in. What is your top carrier? What do you think has like the best? Right now for the year of 2025, I'm giving mine, like my vote, I'm giving it to US Mobile. It sounds crazy. I'm giving it to US Mobile. And I think one of the biggest reasons why is me being someone that's trying to look through the eyes of a casual consumer. One big thing that US Mobile's got me sold on is having 3 network access. Now, you may not have it the way that Project Fi had it back in the day, where it would just instantly switch between networks. Okay, in this instance with US Mobile, you have to have like the additional network add-on, and It gives you an entirely active number. So you're like getting like double, messages. Well, you're getting messages from two different phone numbers on your phone. You're getting calls from two different numbers on your phone. Hopefully they can figure it out where they don't need to do that, and they can just allow the system to switch you between these networks. But nonetheless, I digress from that. US Mobile has made some very big strides in 2025, and I commend them for it. The fact that the unlimited starter plan is $25, and yes, if you're on Dark Star, it's fully unlimited with no threshold point where you're slowed down. It is lower priority access, so of course you're not going to get the same faster speeds like business AT&T, but it's still unlimited. Now the warp and light speed is not bad. You get up to 70 gigs of high speed data, right? So that's a pretty good amount in 30 days of usage. So whether you go light speed, warp, or dark star, you should be good for the 30 days that you're using data. Now, if you absolutely have no Wi-Fi access at home, that's where it'll be a little bit hard for you. You might want to step it up to their more premium plan, which is $44 a month, but if you use promo, you'll get it at $35. And yeah, those are some pretty good options. The 3 network where you can switch. Like the other day, I know the guy that I was chatting with wanted to move me over to Lightspeed because there's an issue with Android 16 QPR3 Beta 1 that I don't know if it's AT&T as well, but it happened to me on Darkstar. For some reason, incoming calls does not ring your phone and does not come through, and you just get notified that you got a missed call. It never rings. I downgraded my Pixel 10 back to stock Android 16 firmware and took it out of beta, and now all my calls are coming in again. So it's something that I will put it back on beta software when there's like when Android 16 QPR3 beta 2 comes out. I'll probably then install that on my phone just so I can test the rest of the stuff and get the updated GPU drivers and be able to test gaming on the Pixel 10, see how it works out now with the GPU drivers updated. But anyways, yeah, so they wanted to move me over to that, and that's like pretty cool because I didn't have to create a new account with another provider. I didn't have to think about going through porting my number out anywhere else or whatnot. They have access to 3 of the postpaid carriers' networks. So therefore, I keep the same number and I would just be put on a different network. And I know on the unlimited starter $25 plan, every time that you choose to switch your network connectivity, it is a $2 charge to transfer you onto a different network. If you have the premium, it's free to do it. I think it's like free twice a year, and then if you try to do it again after the 2 times you've done it, then they start to charge because it's becoming excessive. They don't want people always like chatting in and switch me from warp to dark star, switch me from like maybe the end game goal for US Mobile in the future is to be able to toggle that in the app. That'd be so badass if they could do that. Like, today I don't feel like using dark star, let me open US Mobile, let me go into the app, okay, tap on warp, tap on activate now, and then let it do its thing in the background, wait 10 to 15 minutes, reboot the phone, and then boom, it says that I'm on Verizon. Like, that'd be so awesome. Coffee, what's up, man? Glad to have you here. That'd be so awesome to be able to do that. And hopefully they're thinking about that. If it's not, I don't care. I'm not, I wouldn't claim it as my own idea. If, the CEO of US Mobile like hears that and says, hey, let's do that. If they can make it happen, do it. That'd be so cool to be able to do that. That'd be so cool. Anyways, yeah, so big shout out, top choice for me, US Mobile. I get my money's worth. $25 a month, fully unlimited. I don't need hotspot because I don't share my data to other IoTs. I rarely do that, but you do get 20 gigs of hotspot. So if I took my laptop with me, I could connect to check emails and stuff like that. But other than that, we're good. Unorthodox pick, one that tries to spread itself pretty thin, but tries to be a part of like different types of users. And that goes to, boom. I know my data connection is so slow today. MobileX, I give it to them. Whether you want to build your own type of phone service plan, or you want to go on one of the traditional, kind of seen unlimited plans, and people start complaining. There's people that's like $25 a month, 30 gigs. That sucks. But you'll go with like Boost Mobile that does the same thing. Make it make sense, people. Okay, $25, 30 gigs of data, $15, 10 gigs of data, you know, if you want the more traditional unlimited. But if you want to save money and just basically pay for what you're actually using and not a cent more, then, you know, they got such a great flexible plan, and the per gigabyte rate is a lot better than what you find in the likes of Google Fi, $10 per gig versus Mobile X, you know, like $1 something per gig. That's a significant difference. That's an $8 difference. Yeah. So, you know, in thought for the most unorthodox yet cost savings provider, Mobile X has got that from me. So let me see some of these choices here. US Mobile, AT&T is best in my area, so Darkstar, nice, Michael. Nice, Michael, great. So you're on page with me with US Mobile. Gene says, Verizon and AT&T are tremendous here. T-Mobile's horrible. Wah. T-Mobile not doing so great. So at least we know that if we ever visit where Gene lives, we know what services is going to work out there. He just gave us the key to the castle. If you go in Gene's neighborhood, Gene's neck of the woods, T-Mobile sucks in that area. So you gotta keep that in mind. You just signed up for Helium Mobile? Out of curiosity, why? What made you want to grab Helium Mobile? Like, did you grab one of the zero plan where it's free? Is that what you got? Or did you actually go on one of their two plans, the Air plan or the Infinity plan? I don't even know why they call it Infinity. It's 36 gigabytes of high-speed data a month. That's not Infinity. Infinity would be something like Visible, $25 unlimited. Or US Mobile, Darkstar. Gotta be clear, Darkstar, because the other two are 70 gigs only. Now let me check the polls. Awesome sauce. We are sitting at, let's see, 23 for Pixel 10, 15% for iPhone 17, 46% for Galaxy S25, 15% for OnePlus. Okay. So, to kind of bring this into a perspective, so we got two more awards to give. And so, right now, viewer's choice. Okay, yeah, it's happening. So I'm going to end it right now. End the poll. Viewer's Choice Awards goes to the Samsung Galaxy S25. The S25 with One UI takes the win for Viewer's Choice in this live stream. Most of you voted for the Galaxy S25, and I understand why. Obviously, a lot of people really back Qualcomm processors. So thankfully, Samsung sticks with that and doesn't go back to Exynos, because Exynos processors are just crap. But you have the playfulness of One UI with theming. You have the power of One UI, which is miles and miles ahead better than their previous TouchWiz. And I know because I've been playing around with the, well, let me go full screen here. But I've been playing around with the Galaxy Note 5. And where's that other phone? Oh, it's in the charger. So, Note 5 and Galaxy S21. TouchWiz, One UI. I can definitely see a performance difference between One UI and TouchWiz. Anyways, yeah. So miles and miles ahead. Pixel 10, obviously with the intelligence and the 3-camera setup. Totally cool. You know, good. iPhone 17, and that's the thing here. And I kind of see the trend that's happening. And I understand why the iPhone 17, its percentage in viewer's choice vote got down. And it's not that it's a bad phone, honestly. It's just the hype thing to talk about with the iPhone 17 is just two things, and they're very similar to the Pixel 10. Well, actually, I don't even think the iPhone 17 base model has it. I don't know. I always thought it was just a Pro thing, where you can pretty much get like this, like the crop 16:9 aspect ratio without having to turn your phone, right? Like you can get a landscape photo keeping the phone in portrait and just choosing to widen that selfie cam. That's great because you can record video in that too as well, I believe. I don't think the 17 base has it, but I think the Pro has it. If I'm wrong, someone comment and let me know. I would love to be corrected on that. But the camera department for the iPhone 17, obviously people are looking at. But the most hype thing about it is that it starts off at 256 storage. Now, while that's an important thing to a lot of people, that 256 is important. Yeah, at the same time, there are people that can make 128 work, and that's the thing. It's like anyone could argue that more storage is needed. I will agree with you. More storage is not a bad thing. It's better. You know what I mean? But there are people that look at it like, okay, more storage is good. I agree. 128 is not terrible. I can live with it. And then so there lies the problem, right? Apple Intelligence is not a thing. And I think that's what shoots Apple in the foot when it comes to a lot of people. And it's not that they can't do it. It's that they've been teasing it. See, Apple is this year's definition of do not write a check. Like, do not let your mouth write a check that your butt can't cash. Because for the last couple of years, as a matter of fact, that's all they've been really kind of like primarily focused on, is like teasing people, like Apple Intelligence, and it's about to come, and these phones are going to be able to get it, and you're going to be able to do so much with it. And they even had this whole thing they were talking about, how AI runs for them, how they're making it secure and everything. And yet they delivered mediocrity. And I don't laugh. I don't make fun of it. I know other people do. I don't. Because at least Apple's trying to rectify that. Even if it sacrifices their image for a moment, they're trying to please their customers. And the fact that they went ahead and decided to communicate with Google and have Google help Siri with access to Gemini. That's a company that's putting a step forward for its end users, and I can appreciate that from a company that's willing to take that on the chin. No pun intended. But that's the reason why I feel like that in this scenario of votes, it kind of fell short and didn't surpass the Pixel 10. Doesn't mean that's a bad phone. Okay. Now, viewer's choice, Samsung Galaxy S25. Tito's choice, Pixel 10. 2025, top choice. I give it to Pixel 10. So, that's how all this pretty much plays out. It's pretty solid. I like that. It was just, you didn't really know where things was going to go with these votes, so I really appreciate it. Yeah, one in the Q&A also, because oh no, this ain't the J6. No, this is a Galaxy Note 5. Like, this was my sister's phone. It's missing the S Pen. The S Pen's not in there. It's missing it. But yeah. This is the Galaxy Note 5. I decided to charge it up and play around with it. Surprisingly, it's weird because the battery is actually pretty decent. Like, this has been on, let's see where it's at right now. It's at 33% battery. This has been on. There's no SIM active in it, but it's been on for 4 days. It's dropped from 100% to 33%. And the only reason why that, I'm surprised that the battery's lasting not that long and not dying so quickly is because the phone suffers some major screen burn-in. I can see the keyboard. So the Samsung keyboard, the shade of it is burnt into the display. Like the Wi-Fi signal, the freaking GPS signal, all that is burnt in at the top. Like, you literally can see. So my sister was really, really on the phone a lot, texting and whatnot. Because back then, I believe the operating system on that one is Nougat. So So it's Android 7. So dark mode wasn't a thing yet. I remember dark mode came out afterwards to kind of protect and help prevent screen burn-in. So, yeah. So I was figuring because my sister used the phone a lot and was able to create this massively awkward screen burn-in. Let me see. I don't know if my webcam will pick it up. I don't know. Well, let's unlock the phone real quick. Okay. Oh, yeah, I should have kept that on. It's like with let's see. Okay, there's no messages here, so I don't know. Oh shoot, probably too bright. Let's lower the where's the brightness? God, this is so old. I don't even remember where the brightness is. Frickin' touch whiz. See? Oh, there we go. All right, let's see. Okay, let's see if you guys can see. You guys see the screen burning now? Yeah, you guys should be able to see it now. Look at that. Holy crap. Like, you do have, like, I'm not talking about, like, you know, yeah. Like, they're right there. Can you see the screen burn in? The keyboard's not up, yet you can kind of see a keyboard on the screen, right? That's because screen burn in. Yeah, she really messed up this display. But yeah, the screen burning is bad, but the battery's still good. So, hey man, it goes to show you, if you have a Galaxy Note 5, yeah, that battery is gonna be pretty decent. I mean, it's not like it's the Galaxy Note 7. Anyways, yeah. So, you know. Got a couple things that I got to get done today. Today's winter solstice. What are you guys doing on winter solstice? The longest night of the year. I already started messing with my 10-year-old son. I told him, I was like, tonight's a very dangerous night because it's the winter solstice, and this is the point where werewolves roam at night, and like they're pretty powerful, and vampires are at their most powerful because the night lasts longer. So like my son's freaking out. I showed him a YouTube Shorts video about that. I forgot what that movie's called, but it's the movie where like there's a supermoon that happens every year, and like the moon's sway over humans is so powerful that for one night out of the year, like most humans get turned into a werewolf. I forgot what it's called, but I was showing my son that, and I was telling him that could happen tonight, so don't go outside tonight because you don't want to get turned into a werewolf. And so he's freaking out today. He's like, oh, well, the mother daughter was like, maybe we can grab something to eat tonight. And Rain's like, we shouldn't go outside after dark. We could get turned into a werewolf in the supermoon on the winter solstice. I'm like, oh my God. So my wife is really mad at me because she's like, look what you did. Thank you so much. And I'm just like, nah, not Underworld. Not Underworld. Underworld's a badass. It's a badass series. I prefer that. I remember my wife would always like get into debates with me because she, of course, she really loved the whole Twilight series, and Twilight movies aren't bad, but that's like more of like a vampire werewolf romance movie. A vampire werewolf action movie with a little bit of romance, Underworld, you know. So I was rocking Team Underworld. She was rocking Twilight. No, it's another movie. Shoot, I forgot what it is. Hold on, I could probably search it. Let me close out all these tabs here. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Oh, it's just called Werewolves. Hold on, let me show you guys. So it's just called werewolves. It says two scientists try to stop a mutation that turns people into werewolves after being touched by a supermoon the year before. So yeah, it's just called Werewolves. Came out in 2024. Yeah, but I mean, I told my son that that's what's gonna happen tonight. And my wife is mad at me because he's been texting his mom all morning. He's just like, if he turns into a werewolf, will he turn back into a human? And like I read the messages that she messaged him on his phone. She's like telling him, like, I know she's annoyed. The last message she sent him earlier before I started this live stream, she was telling him, she put "son, stop." He's just so on it. Like, my son is one of those inquisitive type kids. So everything with him, he wants to know why. And he's going to ask 1,000,000 questions to understand how something works and functions. So later on, I was planning, because I have a werewolf mask in the outside shed. I'm talking quietly because he can hear me. So in the storage shed outside, I have a werewolf mask with a werewolf paw gloves. And I'm debating if I'm going to record it, because my wife says that if I record it, she's going to kick my ass. Because I was thinking like I was going to freak my son out by going outside in the front courtyard of my townhouse, like to go out there and like close the door as he sees me go out there in the dark, because I know he's going to yell and be like, "Don't go outside, Dad, you're going to turn." I was going to close the door, quickly slip on the gloves and the mask and tuck it into my flannel shirt, and then push the door open and chase him. But then my wife's like, if I give him a heart attack, she'll never forgive me. So I probably shouldn't do it. I'm leaning not doing it, because I think I've already tormented him by saying that werewolves are going to happen tonight. It's just things of, it's like one of the perks of being a dad. Like you have to mess around with the kids from time to time. You gotta make things pretty interesting. Do I remember the vampire movie Bad Boys? There was a vampire. I know there was Bad Boys with friggin' Martin Lawrence now. Hold on. By the way, quick question: who's into boxing? 1, 2, who watched the Paul versus Joshua fight? Yeah, I never heard of that. I know there's a movie called Lost Boys, which, I'm a fan of Lost Boys. The Lost Boys was a hell of a good one. The second one, Lost Boys: The Tribe, I didn't like very much, because all it was just like a reboot of the exact thing that happened in the first movie, with the brother and sister donning the Emerson name, and then yeah, Lost Boys. Okay. And then yeah, it was just basically just a very similar thing. So the second one I didn't care for. The third one was okay for a low budget film. If you guys didn't know, there is a third movie of Lost Boys. What was that? Lost Boys Bloodlust, I think. Let's see. Oh, I think it's The Thirst. Yeah, Lost Boys: The Thirst, that came out in 2010. That's the third movie. That one was kind of okay, because they actually unveiled one of the first vampires, right? That was in the form of he looked like a 14-year-old teenage boy, but he is like the oldest of the vampires in that area around, Santa Carla and all those places. Like, I guess you could say he was the head vampire of that covenant that broke into little micro covenants. So that was a good movie. You need to watch it. Silver Bullet. Yes. I think Silver Bullet was so awesome, just because of the fact that, Corey Haim played a paraplegic whose uncle's back. I wish I had an uncle like he did, that would build me a freaking wheelchair motorized that's like a motorcycle, kind of like a dirt bike fast, maybe. I don't know what type of CC engine that was, but all I can say was that the uncle was freaking awesome. And I think the part that scares my kids the most was when he's on the bridge lighting fireworks and the werewolf happens to be in that area, and he sees the werewolf kind of stalking him on the bridge, and he's like trying to escape, and he ends up firing a bottle rocket that hits the eye of the werewolf as he turns around and takes off. That to me was just like, because that werewolf really wanted to just get the kill, he could have easily pounced and killed that kid so quickly. But the fact that it was enjoying stalking him, not realizing that just because the kid is, is a paraplegic, he's paralyzed from the waist down, that's what they say. Don't ever underestimate your opponent. That werewolf, and it tells you too in that movie, I guess a werewolf had a thinking brain, because obviously the werewolf was enjoying stalking the kid that couldn't walk or run, and then he got shot in the eye with a bottle rocket. Yeah. Oh, let's see. I used to watch Olympic boxing before with dad. Yeah. Boxing, not for me. Okay. The reason why I asked that was because I did catch Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. And I caught the fight for a reason. Like, I'm not a giant fan of boxing, but I do love the sport. I just haven't really been involved in it. And, call me an asshole if you guys want to, but I didn't really get involved watching it when the Paul brothers broke in, right? It's like when Logan Paul became a boxer and he wanted to fight Floyd Mayweather, and Jake Paul wanted to fight Mike Tyson, it was just like, it was just ridiculous, because, I mean, I'm not going to say like I never thought that they could do it in the sport of boxing, but when I started to see who they were targeting as people to challenge, right? Retired MMA fighters, retired boxers, Mike Tyson, in a way, letting everybody know that he got a very nice payoff to lose to Jake Paul, right? Who, Mike Tyson is a childhood hero to some people out there in the world of boxing. I mean, yeah, he did what he did. He went to jail, whatnot, whatever, you know what I mean? But knowing that they gypped all of us by paying Tyson to lose. I mean, you gotta think about it too. Like, people are just like, why would Mike Tyson accept a payout to lose? Like, Mike Tyson has nothing to prove anymore. He's not in the world of boxing. He's not ever coming back to the world of boxing. He's not fighting serious fighters. No, his thing is just living out the rest of his life comfortably off the money he made from movies and off the money he made from that one fight. So to me, the sport of boxing is tarnished. So I've been saying that for a long time. So when Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul were set to fight, I was like a little skeptical. I was like, okay, we're going to see Jake Paul actually go into the sport, take on a real serious fighter. But I was thinking to myself, hopefully they don't pay this guy to take a loss to try to legitimize Jake Paul as a fighter. And that's not what happened at all. So if you guys want to YouTube the highlight replay afterwards, but Jake Paul's jaw is broken in two places. The fight was, for the most part, I know like a lot of people are making excuses for Jake Paul. Like his brother Logan Paul was like, oh, I'm proud of my brother. He stepped in the ring with, like, yeah, you guys go humble when you guys take a loss. You guys talk mad shit and think you're the best when you're trying to instigate the fight. Like Jake went in, all the bravado and everything that he was, that he was boxing. And I don't take it away from Jake Paul that he's bringing eyes back onto the sport of boxing. But the eyes that's coming to the sport of boxing are not like really, I would say, the right eyes. Because these eyes only came because they wanted to see him get his ass kicked. That was literally the point. Literally the point of watching that fight. Because, Anthony Joshua trying to hype up the fight afterwards, post interviews and everything like that. He was saying like, yeah, Anthony was like, he could tell that him himself needs to do more work, because he felt like that, he should have been able to KO Jake Paul like in the first or second round. It went all the way to 6 rounds out of 8 rounds. And these were 8 3-minute rounds. It went to the 6th round before he actually knocked him out. So he was saying like, he needed to, work on, what do you call it? Like his conditioning. He needs to just, because in the beginning of the fight, like Jake Paul moved a lot. Like Jake Paul, he was kind of like his psychology with in ring and cutting corners and whatnot. And I don't mean like cheating. I mean like cutting, his movements in the ring. He was pretty good at that. Which people were like, hey, he's running away. Like, yeah, that's part of boxing. I don't mean run away like run circles around the ring like you're on a treadmill, but being able to bob and weave and dodge and cut the angles and be able to cut the angles, not only cut the angles but slip the jab. He was able to do that, but it wasn't until it was the third or fourth round where Anthony Joshua really started to press him. I mean, Jake Paul was knocked down a bunch of times. People are already making memes where it looks like that Jake Paul was on his knees servicing Anthony Joshua, because the way he was, like, he was dropped to his knees and he buried his head in Anthony's crotch. And you guys just YouTube it afterwards just to see it. It's pretty funny. The post shot that Jake Paul was giving after his loss. He was talking about it, and he was giving himself credit for having the balls to step in the ring with Anthony Joshua. But you know what? Like, I mean, for that type of payout, there are people out there that would go in there and try their best, right? Anthony Joshua giving Jake Paul credit, like, hey, I knocked him down a bunch of times. I have to give him credit. He kept getting back up. He has the heart and the spirit of boxing. And I'm like, you know what? Let Jake Paul eat a slice of humble pie. The guy kind of said things that are disgusting to the sport of boxing. And so the fact that he had his ass handed to him by a real fighter, finally got a taste of what a real fight is, let him have his humble pie. That's what I would say. Do I want Jake Paul to quit boxing? Like, no. If he really loves the sport of boxing, if that's what he really wants to do, then heal your jaw. Like, what? A double broken jaw takes 6 weeks to heal, because it was broken here and then onto the other side. He got hit so hard in that last round, it broke in two places. It's called a double break. They showed photos. You guys can find photos online. There's even one point where someone showed a photo when he opened his mouth, and the teeth that's right here was caved in because the jaw is broke. It's severely fractured, that the mandible bone shifted inward. So obviously he's going to have some surgery done. They're going to have to wire that jawline, and it's going to take about 4 to 6 weeks to heal. Good luck, Jake Paul, getting your jaw healed. Hopefully the slice of humble pie tastes good. And now everyone in the boxing world is going to watch and see, what are you really going to do? Are you going to go back to fighting retired seniors and whatnot? Or are you going to take this loss, get a training camp together, hell, start to freaking book, Joshua versus Paul 2, and get a real good team put together and work, train hard, come back into that ring and go a second fight with Anthony Joshua. Maybe lose again, maybe not lose again, maybe win this time. Who knows? But at least the respect will be a lot better. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much it, as far as today's podcast. Again, to reiterate, my top choice of 2025 is the Pixel 10, and that is the Pixel 10. And viewer's choice is Samsung Galaxy S25, with honorable to the iPhone 17 because of storage. But I appreciate all you guys for coming in, hanging out, checking this out. Happy Sunday to you guys. Be safe out there. Titus Wilkin with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate it. You guys definitely enjoy the holidays. There's no live streams this week after today. I'm not messing with everybody's holidays. As far as a podcast, I may go live on my mobile phone and check in with you guys. Maybe I might check in with you guys while I'm watching Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 2. That's this Wednesday. So, yeah. But, of course, there'll be videos dropping. YouTube Shorts dropping. There's a lot. I've been putting a lot more short form content up along with long form. So something for everybody. But you guys, be wonderful. Be safe. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody. I'll see you guys Christmas Eve. That'll probably be the last podcast. This week actually is just Christmas Eve, just to hang out with you guys. Or probably from mobile phone. Just be on the lookout for it. I'll see you guys. I love you guys very much. Be safe out there.